Wow. All right. Duck move complete. That quick, man. Well, I won't call it a duck move. But, man, it's just so coincidental, man, that this dude, Alexander Povetkin, according to ESPN, Anthony Joshua is given 30 days by the WBA to negotiate Alexander Povetkin. Alexander Povetkin is a dude that got popped dirty. What is it, two or three times? But this dude gets a shot at all the belts, man. And you can't make a fight. See, that's what I'm saying about this whole. People keep saying, unification trumps mandatories. Now Alexander Povetkin, after beating David Price, now gets a shot at 3 belts. This dude is a notorious drug cheat, man. But hey, man, throw him out there, right? Throw him out there. Let me go through this article first. We're definitely going to be having a discussion about this in the live stream later today. So please subscribe and hit the bell icon. We have very good discussions in the live stream. Definitely trying to push more and more conversations onto live stream, and so you can have more real time conversations between myself, a lot of the regulars that come to the live streams. And so I hope that you accept the invitation to attend. But let me get into this, man. Anthony Joshua, this is by ESPN. Just came out a couple hours ago. Anthony Joshua given 30 days by WBA to negotiate Alexander Povetkin. It's by Sean Nevin, ESPN UK. Anthony Joshua's plan to unify the division by facing Deontay Wilder may have to be put on hold after the WBA ordered him to take on mandatory challenger Alexander Povetkin by September. Joshua won the WBA strap last year, knocking out Vladimir Klitschko at Wembley to win the then vacant belt. But he now looks set to have to defend both that belt as well as the IBF and the newly claimed WBO title against the Russian. Povetkin featured on the undercard of Joshua's bout against Joseph Parker last weekend, knocked out David Price in brutal fashion before Joshua defeated Joseph Parker. And now Povetkin looks set to get a shot at reclaiming the WBA belt that he lost to Klitschko back in 2013. The WBA called the mandatory yesterday for AJ to face Povetkin, promoter Eddie Hearn told Sky Sports. We have a 30-day window to negotiate, and at this stage, it means it's very likely Anthony's next fight will be between Wilder or Povetkin. With the mandatory challenge being set, Joshua and his camp will either need to fight Povetkin next or agree to a step-aside deal, which could see the Russian face Dillian Whyte or vacate his WBA belt. However, Povetkin says that he only has eyes for Joshua. I am the obligatory challenger for the championship fight, Povetkin said with the prospect of facing Joshua. I really look forward to the moment where I can fight with the strongest in the world. Now, Anthony Joshua has 4 belts. I really want this fight, but I do not even want to think about proposals to box other rivals. Okay, here we go, man. Are you kidding me? With everybody pretty much that's interested in boxing, at least, I guess there's not everybody. You got these AJ, you got a whole bunch of guys that are Anthony Joshua, charter members of the Anthony Joshua Protection Agency. They want to see him fight anybody other than Deontay Wilder. But aside from the Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua portion of this, Alexander Povetkin is a dope cheat. The WBA just made itself look bad by allowing when Canelo Alvarez tested positive for performance enhancing drugs. He for it being in his system, Combuterol being in his system. For those people that want to get hot with me by saying the dude got popped dirty, technically speaking, he popped dirty. Whether or not he can justify popping dirty or not is a different subject. But the WBA jumped out there with the WBC and proclaimed this guy's innocence, and ready to go for it. Right. The Nevada State Athletic Commission has to step in and say, no, we're not gonna. We got to launch an investigation. Go, dot our I's, cross our T's. Files a complaint. The fight gets postponed. Right. But that wasn't at the behest of the WBA nor the WBC, right? It was a state athletic commission that did it. And now, right off the bat, the WBA comes off after stripping Luis Ortiz of his mandatory shot, of his number one ranking, because he tested positive for something that his doctor gave him an excuse for. Just like Canelo Alvarez popped dirty that he's got a doctor sitting next to him giving him an excuse for. They then throw the mandatory out there with Alexander Povetkin. So now Alexander Povetkin, they have until September to fight Alexander Povetkin. 30 days to negotiate it, right? So this is April. So they got till the middle of May. To the beginning, first week of May or so to negotiate the deal. If they don't negotiate the deal, then the deal goes to purse bid. Right? Now, that would be very interesting because the purse bid means that if the WBA works like the WBC does, and I'm sure there's some minor differences in between the two, but I'm pretty sure that they work similarly, where if you have the WBC, if they cannot come up to an agreement within 30 days, then they're going to have to negotiate where the fight would be. They would have to go to purse bid. And in a purse bid between Eddie Hearn and the promoter for Alexander Povetkin, I have a pretty good feeling that Alexander Povetkin's trainer, that Alexander Povetkin's promoter might very well win that. Because my understanding is the dude's a billionaire. Last time I checked, Eddie Hearn's not a billionaire. At least not that I've heard of. Now, I'm sure that there are some people who are big fans of Eddie Hearn that are going to jump up on here and tell me how he's a billionaire and he's got more money than Bill Gates. And how do I know that? Oh, because I heard him say it. That type of nonsense. I'm sure that'll come out. But, so if they don't do it within the 30 days, then you wind up being in a situation where it might go to purse bid. If it's in a purse bid, then it could go to Russia. It could be in the UK. But strangely enough, according to Eddie Hearn and some things that were said earlier this week by Eddie Hearn, that the promoter from Russia and he had already had conversations about where the fight could happen. And they both agreed, according to Eddie Hearn. And like I say, man, you got to take everything Eddie Hearn says with a grain of salt. That they've already come up and decided, that the UK would be the best place for that fight. Now, if I'm Alexander Povetkin, I'm saying nope. It's not the best place for the fight because did you see the referees? Did you see how the referee kept him from fighting inside? Did you see that? Did you see how he got to call his own timeout? So if I'm that guy, I'm like, no, we're going to go to a purse bid and I'm going to try to outbid you for this. And he's the champion, so, I'll put up enough money there to get Anthony Joshua over to Russia and steal all the belts for the drug cheat Alexander Povetkin. But more than likely, that won't happen. More than likely. And so Anthony Joshua will be fighting a drug cheat for 3 of the 4 major championship belts instead of unification, right? Or I guess he could do what? He could pay him step-aside money. You think Eddie Hearn is going to pay Alexander Povetkin step-aside money so that he can fight Deontay Wilder? I'll see it when I believe it. I'll believe it when I see it. I'll believe it when I see it. And I might see it when I believe it. Like as in shit ain't going to happen. Man, look, I just did a video on Sean Porter and Keith Thurman, man, and all this crap going on in boxing, man. Like for this one, see this one can't be on Anthony Joshua because Anthony Joshua can't. I don't believe Anthony Joshua's the one that called up the WBC and said, call your mandatory now. You know what I mean? They did in their defense, they did call for the mandatory around the same time that Pulev, the IBF called for Pulev to do, he called for Pulev. So, I guess it's what Eddie Hearn said. It's like, okay, if we don't hurry up and get this in here, if we got a real short negotiation. I mean, it's going to start next week. But, if we don't hurry up and get this negotiation done, really, really fast, then, they're going to start calling mandatories. It is Friday of next week, and they called a mandatory. If y'all don't see what's going on, man, come on, man. You're blind, or you're just not honest. You're blind or you're not honest. All right, so now the WBA is going to call that mandatory. Then what's going to happen after he beats Pulev, right? Well, we're going to give it a week to call the Deontay Wilder fight. We got to hurry up. We got to fit it in real quick. We got to get this negotiation right quick. And they're not calling me. Oops. The IBF called a mandatory. I'm sorry. The IBF called a mandatory. And then after that, well, we just fought 2 mandatories. So, it's been a tough year. So, we fought Joseph Parker. And then we fought Povetkin. And then we fought Kubrat Pulev, right? So now, we need another fight. We need a soft touch this year. Oh, and then we get the soft touch. Oh, they ordered another mandatory. There's nothing I can do about this. Come on, man. This crap is so blatant. It's just so blatant. It's so obvious that it's hilarious, man. It's not quite. At least, I mean, it's like, I'm just thinking, man, who's the bigger con man, dude? Keith Thurman with this nonsense going on with Errol Spence, Sean Porter, and Danny Garcia, and him pulling up injuries every 5 dang seconds. Or this nonsense going on over here with in the UK with Anthony Joshua. And Eddie Hearn. I can't put this on Anthony Joshua. I got to put this on Eddie Hearn. The dude just said, we're going to begin negotiations, but we got a week, but it's got to happen soon, or they're going to start the mandatories, man. Or they're going to start, God dog, man, I got some type of machine. They just came by my house and started like banging and digging into the ground, man, outside in the street. Super irritating. If you guys hear that, hopefully you shouldn't when I process the video. But if you do, that's my apologies, man. That's my apologies. So, where does this put the fight that, honestly, man, who cares? First of all, Kubrat Pulev not Kubrat Pulev, excuse me. Alexander Povetkin should never get another shot at a championship belt ever. The dude is tested positive multiple times. And just like Paulie Malignaggi said, I don't know if you guys have seen this, Paulie Malignaggi did a interview with Helen, I think it's Helen Yee. Very good channel. Definitely check out her channel. Did an interview with her and talking about performance-enhancing drugs in sports. Talked about Canelo Alvarez and was like, look, the problem is that the sanctioning bodies aren't interested in fixing the problem. That the promoters aren't interested in solving the problem. And you wind up with situations where if there's enough money in it that, you're going to get these guys coming in here. There's so many people that are fighting dirty. I mean, I've heard a rumor, this is just a rumor, that Alexander Povetkin didn't even get tested for the last fight with David Price. That there wasn't any testing with that. You got Anthony Joshua looking like a Hulk. Now, maybe that's just how he's built, like the Hulk, right? And just so happens he's starting to lose weight, lost 12 pounds of muscle in between fights. Man, it's just disheartening, man. It's disheartening. From the behavior of Anthony Joshua, I know he acts like he doesn't want the unification for the heavyweight championship of the world. To hold all 4 belts. It's like you got a gun, Sky Sports had to get, stick a gun to the dude's head in order to get him to say Anthony Joshua's name. And then when he does say it, he says, oh, just like Dillian White says. So we'll see, man. We'll see where, Alexander Povetkin versus Joseph Parker. Versus Kubrat Pulev in a fight that shouldn't even be made. How did the dude even get to be the mandatory? Fighting David Price and some other cat. It's just ridiculous, man. It's just ridiculous. But, that's the world we live in boxing right now, man. But, fortunately, there's some good fights happening. Not all these weight divisions are acting like this. We got the 154-pound division this weekend. We got Jarrett Hurd fighting Islandy Lara. Jarrett Hurd, see, I guess that's because, Jarrett Hurd is really trying to make a name for himself, when he's trying to get to the point where he can be considered the best 154-pounder. So he goes out of his way and says, you know what? I know that I could probably fight Charlo first, or I could try to find my way to get over there and fight Saddam Ali. But in order for me to be considered the best, then I need to beat the guy that's currently the longest reigning 154-pound champion and the guy that a lot of people think is the best, in Islandy Lara. And so he takes the bulls by the horn, calls out Islandy Lara. Islandy Lara takes the challenge, and boom, here we have it. Off the 154-pound division, they had like a whole tournament at the 154-pound division. Dang near a whole tournament where you have Charlo. When Charlo fought, who did Charlo fought? Charlo fought Lubin. Then you have Hurd fight Trout. And then after you have Hurd fight, besides that, you have Lara Goshaw, which was kind of, wasn't the most exciting fight in the world. But you have pretty much all of the top guys at 154 pounds fighting on the same card the same night. And then two of the winners are already in the ring with each other and looking to fight Charlo after that. So the only outlier in 154 pounds is Saddam Ali. The only outlier in all that is Saddam Ali with the WBO belt. But other than that, man, you are getting what we need to see at the 154 pound division. And that's why I'm extremely happy to see that fight card going on this weekend. You even got a good 154-pound guys coming on the undercard taking tough fights between Julian Williams and Gallimore. That's going to be a tough fight. So at 150, it's not like it can't happen in boxing. It's not like it can't happen, and there aren't guys out there that are willing to get in the ring and fight each other, the best guys in their weight division without a lot of noise. Without a lot of gamesmanship. It just doesn't happen to be that way in the the three best divisions, four of the top divisions in boxing. You don't have it that way in the heavyweight division. We don't have that with what's going on with Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn. You don't have that going on in the 160-pound division. Where you have the 160, where you have Gennady Golovkin just picked a fight to replace Canelo Alvarez. It was so bad that the Nevada State Athletic Commission wouldn't even sanction the fight. And this coming from an athletic commission that sanctioned Floyd Mayweather Jr., a future Hall of Fame fighter, to fight Conor McGregor, who ain't never entered into the boxing ring before. They sanctioned that. But they wouldn't sanction this competition that went on between the Gennady Golovkin asked for. Gennady didn't ask for Demetrius Andrade. He didn't ask for Derevchenko. He tried to slip in some dude on May 5th, a Mexican dude from May 5th, trying to put on a sombrero. He's going to put on a sombrero and a poncho and play everybody corny. In 147, you got Keith Thurman injuring his elbow and his hands playing the flute and piano. And you got Sean Porter and Danny Garcia acting like the only champion in the division is Keith Thurman and doesn't know what the IBF looks like. At 135 pounds, you got nobody can pronounce the name. I think I might be the only person. Sometimes it feels like I'm the only person in America or in the boxing fandom that knows that Robert Easter Jr. is the IBF 135-pound champ. because Linares can't pronounce his name. Mikey stood there for 2 seconds and left the division as soon as Lomachenko came in. It's just a bunch of drama. And now you have this nonsense that we could see coming. You could see coming. Eddie Hearn's, I really think, I'm not sure. I think that, Joshua might just have to fight Povetkin. Yeah, add another name off that 8-fight plan that he had laid out there, man. It's a bunch of nonsense. But anyway, man, it is what it is. And with that, we're out. Peace.